Tonight, as you wind down for sleep, we'll use 10 simple Buddhist mantras to ease anxiety. You can just listen or repeat quietly at your own pace. Rest easy, knowing each mantra was chosen to calm your mind and make falling asleep easier. Tonight, as you settle into the gentle embrace of your bed and feel the weight of the day beginning to lift from your body, you are about to discover something that Buddhist monks have known for thousands of years. There exist 10 sacred mantras, 10 ancient phrases whispered in monasteries across the mountains of Tibet, the temples of Japan, and the meditation halls of Thailand that hold within them the power to dissolve anxiety completely, not to suppress it or ignore it, but to transform it at its very root, allowing it to dissipate like morning mist under the warmth of the rising sun. These mantras are not magic spells or empty words. They are keys that unlock the door to a part of yourself that has always been free from anxiety, always been at peace, always been completely whole. As you lie here in this sacred moment between day and night, between activity and rest, between the world of doing and the world of being, know that anxiety is not your enemy. It is a messenger, a teacher, a confused part of yourself that has forgotten how to rest. Tonight, through these 10 mantras, you will remember. You will remember that peace is not something you must achieve or earn or struggle toward. Peace is what you are when you stop fighting, when you stop resisting, when you allow yourself to simply be exactly as you are in this moment. The ancient masters understood something profound about the nature of anxiety. They saw that it arises not from external circumstances, but from the mind's habit of reaching into the future or dwelling in the past, from heart's tendency to brace against pain, from the body's learned pattern of holding tension. These 10 mantras work together like a symphony, each one addressing a different aspect of anxiety's grip on your being. Together, they create a pathway from the tight, constricted place of worry into the vast, open space of profound peace. Before we begin our journey through these sacred phrases, take a moment to simply notice your breath. You don't need to change it or improve it or make it deeper or slower. Simply notice it exactly as it is. This breath is your faithful companion, the one constant that has been with you since your first moment of life and will accompany you until your last. In this breath, there is already peace. In this breath, there is already freedom. In this breath, anxiety begins to loosen its grip. Feel the surface beneath you supporting your body completely. Whether you're lying on a soft mattress or a firm surface, notice how you don't have to hold yourself up. You can allow yourself to be held. This is the first lesson in dissolving anxiety, learning once again how to be held, how to be supported, how to trust that you don't have to do everything yourself. Your body knows this wisdom even when your mind has forgotten it. In ancient Buddhist tradition, there is a beautiful teaching about the nature of the mind. The mind, the masters say, is like the sky. Thoughts and emotions, including anxiety, are like clouds passing through that sky. Sometimes the clouds are dark and heavy, blocking out the sun. Sometimes they are light and wispy, barely noticeable. But regardless of what clouds appear, the sky itself remains unchanged. It is always vast, always spacious, always fundamentally clear. You are not your anxiety. You are the vast sky in which anxiety appears and disappears. This recognition alone begins the process of dissolution. There is a story told in Zen monasteries about a young monk who was plagued by terrible anxiety. Every day he would worry about whether he was progressing in his practice, whether his teacher approved of him, whether he would ever find the peace he sought. One day his master took him to a river. They stood together watching the water flow past. The master picked up a large stone and threw it into the center of the river. It made a splash and immediately sank to the bottom. Then he picked up a small twig and placed it gently on the surface. The twig floated effortlessly downstream, carried by the current. "Tell me," the master asked, "which one is struggling? The stone that fights against the water's nature and sinks, or the twig that surrenders to the flow and is carried?" The young monk suddenly understood. His anxiety was like the stone, dense with resistance. Peace would come not from fighting harder, but from learning to float, to surrender, to trust the current of life itself. This is what these 10 mantras will teach you tonight. They will show you how to transform from stone to twig, from resistance to flow, from fighting to floating. Each mantra is a gentle invitation to let go of one more layer of tension, one more habit of worry, one more unnecessary burden that you've been carrying. The practice of mantra in Buddhism is ancient and profound. A mantra is not just a phrase to repeat mindlessly. It is a vehicle for transformation, a sound that carries within it a particular quality of consciousness. When you speak a mantra with genuine intention and attention, you are not just saying words. You are invoking a state of being, You are calling forth from within yourself the very quality that the mantra represents. When you speak a mantra of peace, you awaken the peace that already exists within you. When you speak a mantra of release, you activate your innate capacity to let go. The 10 mantras you will learn tonight have been carefully chosen and refined over centuries of practice. They represent the distilled wisdom of countless monks, nuns, and lay practitioners who dedicated their lives to understanding the nature of suffering and the path to freedom. These are not theoretical concepts or philosophical ideas. These are practical tools, tested and proven through generations of use, that genuinely work to dissolve anxiety and open the doorway to the deepest rest. As we prepare to enter into the first mantra, notice any anxiety or tension that might be present in your body right now. Perhaps there is a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, a tension in your shoulders, or a restlessness in your mind. Don't judge these sensations or try to push them away. Simply acknowledge them with kindness. These are the areas that most need the healing touch of these mantras. These are the places where peace will flow most powerfully once you open the channels. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is a practice called Tonglen, which means sending and receiving. In this practice, rather than pushing away suffering, you actually breathe it in, transform it in the vast space of your heart, and breathe out peace and healing. This might seem counterintuitive, especially when dealing with anxiety. We usually try to get rid of anxiety, to push it away, to distract ourselves from it. But the Buddhist approach is different. It teaches us to turn toward our anxiety with compassion, to embrace it as we would embrace a frightened child, to offer it the light of awareness rather than keeping it locked in the darkness of avoidance. As you work with these 10 mantras tonight, you are engaging in a form of Tonglen. You are meeting your anxiety directly, not with force or resistance, but with the transformative power of these ancient words. You are offering your anxiety the gift of being seen, being acknowledged, being held in the spacious awareness that you truly are. And in that holding, in that seeing, anxiety naturally begins to dissolve, like darkness dissolving in the presence of light. Feel how your body is already beginning to soften, even before we've spoken the first mantra. This is the power of intention. By choosing to engage in this practice, by opening yourself to the possibility of peace, you have already begun the journey. Your nervous system is already receiving the message that it's safe to let go, safe to relax, safe to rest. The 10 mantras will deepen and complete this process, guiding you into layers of peace you may have forgotten existed. The first mantra we will explore is simple yet profound. It addresses the root cause of so much anxiety, the tendency to carry burdens that don't belong to us, to hold responsibilities that are not ours to hold, to try to control outcomes that are far beyond our individual power. This first mantra teaches the art of surrender not as defeat but as wisdom. It shows us how to distinguish between what is ours to carry and what we can safely release to the larger intelligence of life itself. In Zen practice, there is a concept called beginner's mind, the ability to meet each moment fresh, without the accumulated baggage of past experiences and future projections. This is the antidote to anxiety, which is always a story about what might happen or what did happen, never about what is actually happening right now. As you work with the first mantra, you are cultivating beginner's mind, learning to meet this moment, this breath, this sensation exactly as it is, without adding the weight of worry. Notice how even now, as you continue to breathe and settle more deeply into your resting place, your body is becoming heavier, more relaxed. This heaviness is not the heaviness of burden, but the heaviness of letting go, of surrendering unnecessary effort, of allowing gravity to do its work. Your muscles are remembering how to release. Your nervous system is downshifting from the activation of the day into the restoration of night. And your consciousness is preparing to receive the gifts that these mantras offer. There is an ancient Buddhist text that says, "The mind is naturally luminous. It is defiled only by adventitious defilements." What this means is that your true nature is already peaceful, already clear, already free. Anxiety is not fundamental to who you are. It is something that has been added, something temporary, something that can be removed like washing dust from a mirror. The mirror doesn't need to become something different to be reflective. It simply needs the dust cleared away. These 10 mantras are the gentle cloth that clears away the dust of anxiety, revealing the naturally luminous clarity of your mind. As you prepare to receive the first mantra, imagine that you are standing at the entrance to a temple. This temple is your own inner sanctuary, the place of perfect peace that exists at the core of your being. Perhaps this temple has been locked or forgotten for some time. Perhaps you haven't visited in days, weeks, months, or even years. But it is still there, waiting patiently for your return. These 10 mantras are the keys that will unlock the doors, one by one, allowing you full access to the peace that has always been yours. The path to this inner temple is not long or difficult. It is not up some distant mountain or across some treacherous terrain. It is as close as your own breath, as intimate as your own heartbeat, as immediate as this present moment. You don't have to go anywhere to find peace. You simply have to stop going, stop seeking, stop struggling. You have to come to rest, and these mantras will show you how. Feel the gentleness of this moment. There is no rush, no urgency, no pressure to perform or achieve. This is not one more task on your endless list of things to do. This is the end of doing and the beginning of being. This is the moment when you give yourself permission to simply exist, without purpose or productivity, without goal or destination. This is the moment when you remember that you are a human being, not a human doing. And in this being, anxiety naturally dissolves. The Buddhist tradition teaches that all beings possess Buddha nature, the inherent potential for complete awakening and perfect peace. This is not something you must earn through good behavior or spiritual practice. This is your birthright, your fundamental nature, what you are beneath all the conditioning and habits and patterns that have accumulated over your lifetime. These 10 mantras help you remember your Buddha nature. They remind you of what you already are but have temporarily forgotten. Imagine that anxiety is like a knot tied in a rope. The more you pull on the ends of the rope trying to force it open, the tighter the knot becomes. But when you stop pulling, when you approach the knot with patient attention, when you gently work with it rather than against it, it naturally begins to loosen. These mantras are the gentle fingers that work with the knots of anxiety, not forcing them open, but encouraging them to naturally unwind. And as each knot releases, you discover that the rope was never truly bound. The binding was temporary, and freedom is your natural state. As we approach the first mantra, take one more deep breath. Notice how the inhale brings fresh life into your body, and the exhale carries away whatever you no longer need. This breath is practicing what the mantras will teach, the rhythm of receiving and releasing, of opening and letting go, of being filled and being emptied. In this rhythm, there is profound peace. In this rhythm, anxiety has no place to land, no solid ground to stand on. It simply dissolves like salt in the vast ocean of your consciousness. The first mantra is a declaration of trust, a statement of surrender, a doorway into the recognition that you are held by something much larger than your individual self. As you receive this mantra, let it sink not just into your mind, but into your body, your heart, your cells, the very fabric of your being. Let it work its gentle magic at every level of your existence. The first mantra whispers to us across the centuries, simple yet profound in its power to dissolve the roots of anxiety. I release all worry to the universe. Let these words settle into your consciousness like snowflakes landing on still water. This mantra is not asking you to abandon responsibility or become careless about your life. It is inviting you to recognize a profound truth that the Buddhist masters discovered through their deep meditation and contemplation. The truth is this: there is a vast intelligence at work in the universe, an intelligence that moves the planets in their orbits, that guides the seasons in their turning, that orchestrates the blooming of flowers and the migration of birds. And you, beloved soul, are not separate from this intelligence. You are an expression of it. When anxiety grips your heart, it is almost always because you are trying to control outcomes that are far beyond your individual power. You are trying to hold up the sky with your own hands, trying to keep the earth spinning through your own effort, trying to make everything work out exactly as you think it should. This is exhausting. This is the source of so much suffering. The first mantra teaches you to release this impossible burden. It shows you how to discern between what is truly yours to do and what you can safely surrender to the larger flow of life. There is a beautiful story from ancient China about a farmer who lived in a small village at the foot of a great mountain. This farmer had one horse which he used to plough his fields and transport his goods to market. One day the horse broke through the fence and ran away into the mountains. The farmer's neighbours came to his house expressing their sympathy. "What terrible luck," they said. "How will you survive without your horse?" The farmer replied simply, "Perhaps." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses from the mountains. The neighbors rushed over, exclaiming with joy, "What wonderful fortune! Now you have 4 horses." Again, the farmer replied, "Perhaps." The following day, the farmer's son was trying to tame one of the wild horses when he was thrown off and broke his leg. The neighbors returned, shaking their heads. "What horrible misfortune," they lamented. The farmer said once more, "Perhaps." A week later, military officials came to the village, conscripting all the young men to fight in a terrible war. Because the farmer's son had a broken leg, he was passed over. The neighbors marveled at the farmer's good luck, and still the farmer replied, "Perhaps." This story illuminates the wisdom of the first mantra. The farmer understood something that most of us forget in our anxiety. He understood that we cannot see the larger pattern of our lives from our limited perspective. What appears to be disaster might actually be protection. What seems like good fortune might lead to difficulty. We simply don't have the vantage point to judge. Our minds, in their anxiety, are constantly trying to figure out the future, to control the narrative, to ensure certain outcomes. But this is like trying to see the entire forest when you're standing between 2 trees. The view is necessarily limited. When you speak the words, "I release all worry to the universe," you are adopting the farmer's wisdom. You are acknowledging that there is a larger pattern at work, a bigger picture that you cannot fully see from your current position. You are choosing to trust that the universe, life, God, the Tao, whatever name you give to the vast intelligence that animates all things, is ultimately benevolent. This doesn't mean that difficult things won't happen. It means that even the difficult things are part of a larger unfolding that serves your growth and the growth of all beings. Feel how this recognition begins to loosen the grip of anxiety in your body. When you truly release worry to the universe, your shoulders can drop. The tension in your jaw can soften. The knot in your stomach can begin to untie itself. Your body receives the message that it doesn't have to carry everything alone, that there is support, that you are held by forces far greater than your individual will. In Buddhist philosophy, there is a concept called dependent arising or interdependence. This teaching reveals that nothing exists in isolation. Everything that happens is the result of countless causes and conditions coming together. Your anxiety often comes from the belief that you are solely responsible for outcomes, that everything depends entirely on your individual actions and decisions. But the truth of dependent arising shows that your actions are just one small thread in an incredibly complex tapestry. You contribute to the pattern, certainly, but you don't weave the entire cloth alone. Imagine trying to hold water in your tightly clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the more water escapes between your fingers. But when you relax your hand and allow it to become an open cup, the water can rest peacefully in your palm. This is the difference between anxiety and trust. Anxiety is the clenched fist, trying desperately to control and contain. Trust is the open palm, allowing life to flow naturally. As you continue to breathe slowly and deeply, feeling your body settling more completely into rest, speak this mantra silently in your heart. I release all worry to the universe. With each repetition, feel something letting go. Maybe it's worry about a relationship, concern about finances, anxiety about health, or fear about the future. Whatever form your worry takes, imagine it like a balloon filled with helium. When you hold the string, the balloon pulls against your hand, creating tension. But when you release the string, the balloon floats up into the vast sky, becoming smaller and smaller until it disappears completely into the blue expanse. This is what happens when you release worry to the universe. It doesn't disappear because the universe destroys it. It dissolves because it is absorbed into something so much larger that it loses its power to disturb you. There is another beautiful teaching from the Buddhist tradition that illuminates this practice. It comes from the meditation on impermanence, which is considered one of the most profound insights for ending suffering. The teaching says that everything in existence is constantly changing, arising and passing away, coming into being and dissolving back into emptiness. Your worries, when examined closely, are usually about trying to make permanent what is inherently impermanent. You worry about keeping your job, maintaining your health, preserving your relationships, protecting your possessions. But the nature of all these things is to change. Jobs come and go, health fluctuates, relationships transform, possessions are gained and lost. This is not tragic. This is simply the nature of existence. When you release worry to the universe, you are aligning yourself with the truth of impermanence. You are acknowledging that you cannot freeze life in any particular form, that you cannot control the constant flow of change. And paradoxically, this acknowledgement brings tremendous peace. When you stop fighting against the nature of existence, when you stop trying to make permanent what is temporary, you discover a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances remaining exactly as they are. You find the peace that can hold all of life's changes without breaking. Notice what happens in your body as you work with this mantra. Perhaps your breathing becomes slower and more rhythmic. Maybe your muscles begin to release tensions you've been carrying for hours, days, or even years. You might feel a subtle shift in your consciousness, as if you're viewing your life from a slightly higher perspective, one that can see patterns and connections that weren't visible from your usual vantage point. These are all signs that the mantra is working, that anxiety is beginning to dissolve, that peace is naturally arising. In ancient monasteries, monks would often practice this mantra while walking slowly in meditation. With each step, they would breathe in and silently speak the first part, "I release all worry." With the next step, they would breathe out and complete the phrase, "to the universe." Step by step, breath by breath, they would physically embody the act of release, literally walking away from worry and toward peace. Though you are lying down now, preparing for sleep, you can still engage with this same embodied practice. With each exhale, feel yourself releasing worry. With each inhale, feel yourself receiving the universe's support. The universe, in Buddhist understanding, is not some distant, impersonal force. It is the very fabric of being itself, the interconnected web of all existence, of which you are an integral part. When you release worry to the universe, you are releasing it to the larger version of yourself, to the vast awareness that includes but transcends your individual consciousness. You are trusting the ocean when you are the wave. You are trusting the forest when you are the tree. You are trusting the body when you are the cell. This trust is not blind faith in something external. It is recognition of your true nature as inseparable from the whole. There is a meditation practice in Zen Buddhism called just sitting, or shikantaza. In this practice, you don't focus on anything in particular. You don't try to achieve any special state. You simply sit, fully present, allowing whatever arises to arise, allowing whatever passes to pass. This practice is the embodiment of the first mantra. It is the practice of releasing all worry, all agenda, all grasping, all pushing away. It is the practice of trusting that simply being present, simply being awareness itself, is enough. As you lie here now, you are engaging in a form of just resting. You are not trying to force sleep to come. You are not analyzing whether you're doing the practice correctly. You are simply present, speaking this mantra, allowing its wisdom to penetrate deeper and deeper into your being. This is perfect practice. This is exactly what's needed. Your presence itself is healing. Your willingness to release worry is transforming your entire nervous system. Feel how each repetition of the mantra creates a little more space around your anxiety. At first, anxiety might feel like a tight, solid mass, but as you continue releasing worry to the universe, that mass begins to loosen, to become more porous, to allow light and air to flow through it. Eventually, it becomes so spacious and light that it simply dissolves like mist dissolving in sunlight. You're not fighting the anxiety. You're not suppressing it or denying it. You're simply giving it space, giving it breath, giving it light. And in that generous space, it naturally transforms. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is a practice of visualizing your worries as guests entering a vast hall. The hall is so enormous that even if thousands of guests arrive, there is still infinite space. You don't have to kick the guests out or fight with them. You simply remain as the vast hall, spacious enough to accommodate anything that appears. This is what happens when you release worry to the universe. You become spacious enough that worry cannot overwhelm you. It might still appear, but it appears in such a vast space that it loses its power to create suffering. Imagine now that your entire being is becoming more and more spacious. Your body, which might have felt tight and constricted, is expanding, becoming lighter, more permeable. Your mind, which might have been crowded with anxious thoughts, is opening like a sky after clouds have cleared. Your heart, which might have been clenched with fear, is softening, warming, opening like a flower in morning light. All of this happens naturally as you continue to work with this first sacred mantra. The dissolution of anxiety is not a violent process. It's not like destroying something or conquering it. It's much gentler than that. It's like ice melting into water, or like tension unwinding from a coiled spring, or like a clenched fist slowly opening. There's a natural flow to it, a rightness, an ease. When you try to force anxiety away, you often create more tension. But when you release it to the universe, when you trust the natural process of dissolution, it happens almost effortlessly. As your body continues to settle into deeper and deeper rest, notice any areas where tension still remains. Perhaps there's tightness in your forehead, or holding in your belly, or rigidity in your legs. Bring the energy of this first mantra to these areas. Imagine speaking directly to the tension. I release you to the universe. I don't need to hold you anymore. You can dissolve now into the vast space of peace, and notice how the tension responds. It's been waiting for this permission. It's been waiting for the signal that it's safe to let go. Your anxiety has been trying to protect you, trying to keep you vigilant, trying to help you control outcomes. But now you can thank it for its service and gently show it that there's a better way. A way of trust rather than control, of flow rather than fight, of surrender rather than struggle. As the first mantra continues its gentle work of dissolution, we turn our attention to the second sacred phrase, a mantra that speaks to the very nature of peace itself. Peace flows through me like water. These words carry within them an image so powerful that simply contemplating it begins to transform your entire state of being. Water, in all spiritual traditions, is recognized as one of the most profound teachers. It shows us the way of effortless action, of yielding that is also powerful, of softness that can wear away stone. When you speak these words, you are not asking peace to come to you from somewhere external. You are recognizing that peace, like water, is already flowing through the rivers and streams of your being. In ancient Taoist philosophy, which deeply influenced Buddhist practice, water is considered the highest good. The Tao Te Ching, a sacred text of wisdom, says, "The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It flows to low places that others reject, and so is like the Tao." This teaching reveals why water is such a perfect metaphor for peace. Water doesn't struggle, it doesn't force, it doesn't resist, it simply flows, always finding the path of least resistance, always moving toward its natural destination, always maintaining its essential nature, even as it adapts to every container and obstacle. As you lie here breathing slowly, imagine that peace is not something solid or fixed, but something fluid, something that flows. Perhaps you've been thinking of peace as a state you must achieve and then maintain through constant effort, like balancing a stone on top of another stone. But the second mantra invites you to see peace differently. Peace is a flow, a current, a stream that runs through you constantly. Sometimes you notice it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes debris blocks the stream, creating damming and stagnation. But the water itself is always there, always trying to flow, always moving toward its natural expression. Your anxiety, when you look at it through this lens, is like debris that has blocked the natural flow of peace through your being. Maybe the debris is made up of old traumas that created dams in your emotional river. Perhaps it consists of fearful thoughts that pile up like logs across the stream. It might include habitual patterns of tension that narrow the channels through which peace should flow freely. The work of dissolving anxiety is not about creating peace from nothing. It's about removing the blockages so that peace, which is always present, can flow naturally once again. There is a story from a Zen monastery about a young nun who came to her teacher in great distress. "Master," she said, "I have been meditating for months, trying so hard to find peace, but it eludes me. The harder I try, the more anxious I become. What am I doing wrong?" The master led her outside to a small fountain in the garden. The water flowed continuously from a bamboo pipe into a stone basin, creating a gentle, soothing sound. "Tell me," the master said, "is this water trying to flow? Is it making effort to be water?" The nun watched for a long moment. "No, master. It simply flows naturally. That is its nature." The master smiled. "And so it is with peace. You cannot force it or chase it or achieve it through trying. You can only remove the obstacles that block its natural flow. Peace is your nature. Let it flow." This teaching transforms everything about how we approach anxiety. Instead of seeing yourself as fundamentally anxious, needing to become peaceful, you recognize that you are fundamentally peaceful and anxiety is the temporary blockage. This shift in perspective is profound. It means you're not trying to become something you're not. You're simply returning to what you are. You're not acquiring peace from somewhere outside yourself. You're uncovering the peace that has always been within you. Feel now, as you continue breathing and settling deeper into rest, the places in your body where you can sense flow and the places where you sense blockage. Perhaps your breath flows easily through your lungs but feels restricted in your throat. Maybe there's a sense of openness in your legs but tightness in your shoulders. These sensations are showing you where peace is flowing freely and where it needs some gentle encouragement to dissolve the obstacles. As you speak this mantra, peace flows through me like water. Imagine that you're not creating the flow, but simply inviting it to clear away what has been blocking it. In traditional Chinese medicine, which shares philosophical roots with Buddhism, health is understood as the free flow of life energy, called qi or qi, through the body. When this energy flows smoothly, there is vitality and peace. When it becomes blocked or stagnant, there is disease and suffering. The same principle applies to emotional and mental health. Anxiety is a form of stagnation, a place where the natural flow of life energy has become dammed up. These mantras are like gentle massage for your energy body, encouraging flow to resume where it has been blocked. Water teaches us another profound lesson that directly addresses anxiety. Water has no fixed form. It adapts instantly to whatever container it finds itself in. Pour it into a cup and it becomes cup-shaped. Pour it into a bowl and it takes the shape of the bowl. Yet it never loses its essential nature as water. This is the kind of peace that the second mantra cultivates. It's not a rigid peace that can only exist under perfect conditions. It's a flowing peace that can adapt to any circumstance while maintaining its essential quality. Your anxiety often comes from rigidity, from insisting that life should look a certain way, that circumstances should conform to your preferences, that other people should behave according to your expectations. This rigidity is like trying to be ice in the middle of summer. You're fighting against the natural temperature of life, expending enormous energy trying to maintain a fixed form. But when you become like water, when you allow peace to flow through you with water's adaptability, you can maintain your inner calm regardless of external conditions. You can be at peace in the cup, the bowl, the river, or the ocean. The container may change, but peace continues to flow. Imagine now the various currents of energy flowing through your body. There is the current of your breath moving in and out, bringing life with each inhale, releasing what's no longer needed with each exhale. There is the current of your blood, flowing through thousands of miles of vessels, nourishing every cell, carrying away waste. There is the current of your thoughts, arising and passing away like waves on the surface of consciousness. There is the current of your emotions, flowing through you like weather patterns, sometimes stormy, sometimes calm. And beneath all of these currents, there is the deep current of peace, always flowing, always present, like the deep ocean current that moves beneath the surface waves. When you speak the words, "Peace flows through me like water," you are directing your attention to this deep current. You are learning to identify not with the surface agitation, but with the depth movement. This doesn't mean denying or suppressing the surface activity. It means recognizing that you are vast enough to contain both surface and depth, both wave and ocean, both temporary anxiety and eternal peace. In Tibetan Buddhist practice, there is a meditation on the body as a collection of flowing elements. You visualize your solid parts, like bones and muscles, as the earth element. You sense your fluid parts, like blood and lymph, as the water element. You feel your warmth as the fire element. You notice your breath and subtle energy as the air element, and you become aware of the spaces within and around you as the space element. This meditation reveals that your body is not the solid, fixed thing it appears to be. It is a dynamic process, a flowing system, a river of elements constantly in motion. When you understand your body in this way, anxiety loses some of its grip. Anxiety wants you to believe that your current state is permanent, that the discomfort you feel will last forever, that there's something fundamentally wrong with you. But when you recognize yourself as a flowing process, you understand that whatever you're experiencing now is temporary. It's a current passing through. The tightness in your chest is not a permanent feature of who you are. It's a temporary blockage in the flow of peace. And blockages, by their nature, can be cleared. Feel how the water element is present in your body right now. You are, after all, approximately 60% water. This is not a metaphor. Your cells are literally swimming in fluid. Your blood is liquid. Your tissues are moist. You are, in a very real sense, a mobile ocean, an ambulatory river, a walking waterfall. When you speak the mantra, peace flows through me like water, you are speaking to the literal water in your body, inviting it to carry the quality of peace to every cell, every tissue, every organ. There is a beautiful practice in some Buddhist traditions of water blessing. Practitioners will speak prayers or mantras over water, infusing it with positive intention, and then drink the water or use it to bless others. Modern science is beginning to discover what ancient practitioners knew intuitively. Water is remarkably responsive to intention and energy. While we don't need to understand the mechanism, we can work with the principle. As you speak this second mantra, imagine that every molecule of water in your body is receiving the message of peace, becoming a carrier of peace, spreading peace to every corner of your being. The flow of water also teaches us about persistence and patience. A river doesn't rush anxiously toward the ocean. It flows at its own pace, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, always continuing, always moving, but without urgency or stress. When it encounters a boulder, it doesn't stop in frustration. It simply flows around it, or if it cannot flow around, it gradually wears the boulder down. Water teaches that persistence doesn't have to mean forcing. It can mean continuing steadily, allowing time and natural process to overcome obstacles. Your journey toward peace is like this. You don't need to force anxiety to disappear immediately. You don't need to berate yourself if it doesn't dissolve the moment you speak a mantra. You simply continue with gentle persistence, allowing the flow of peace to gradually wear away the obstacles, to find its way around blockages, to persist until the channel is clear. This patient persistence is itself a form of peace. It's the opposite of the anxious urgency that wants everything fixed right now. As you continue to rest, becoming heavier and more relaxed with each breath, notice the sound of your breath. It's like the sound of gentle waves lapping at a shore, or the sound of a small stream flowing over rocks. This sound has been used for millennia as a focus for meditation because it naturally induces peace. It's rhythmic, repetitive, soothing. Your own breath is creating a soundscape of peace, a lullaby of flow. By simply noticing this sound, you are reinforcing the message of the mantra. Peace is flowing through you as breath, as blood, as life itself. In Buddhist cosmology, there is often reference to the stream of consciousness, the continuous flow of awareness that connects one moment to the next. This stream is always flowing, always moving, like water in a river. Sometimes the water is clear, sometimes muddy. Sometimes the flow is smooth, sometimes turbulent, but it never stops flowing. Your consciousness is like this. It's not a fixed thing, but a flowing process. And just as you can't step in the same river twice, as the ancient philosopher Heraclitus taught, you are never exactly the same person from one moment to the next. You are always flowing, always changing, always moving. This understanding is deeply liberating when it comes to anxiety. If you are a fixed, solid entity, then anxiety becomes part of your identity. I am an anxious person, you might say. But if you are a flowing process, then anxiety is just one current passing through you. I am experiencing anxiety is a more accurate statement, and what is experienced can be released. What flows through can flow out. You are not your anxiety. You are the space through which anxiety flows, and through which peace also flows. By identifying with the flowing peace rather than the temporary anxiety, you begin to transform your entire experience. Speak the mantra again now, silently or in the quietest whisper. Peace flows through me like water. Notice any part of your body that feels tight or blocked. Imagine the flow of peace as a gentle current, like warm water flowing through a pipe, gradually dissolving any sediment, any buildup, any obstruction. You don't have to force this. You simply hold the intention and allow the natural flow to do its work. Water is patient. Water is persistent. Water always finds a way. The third mantra brings us to the heart of what anxiety most needs to hear. I am safe in this present moment. These words are a declaration of truth that your anxious mind has forgotten. Anxiety lives almost entirely in the future. It tells stories about what might go wrong, what terrible thing could happen, what disaster may be just around the corner. It rehearses conversations that haven't happened yet. It plans for emergencies that may never occur. It creates elaborate scenarios of threat and danger that exist only in imagination. The third mantra brings you back, again and again, to the simple truth of now. And in this now, in this actual present moment, you are safe. There is a profound teaching in Buddhism about the three times: past, present, and future. The teaching says that the past is already gone, like a dream that dissolves upon waking. The future has not yet arrived and may never arrive as you imagine it. Only the present moment is real. Only now actually exists. When you really understand this, when you really feel it in your body, anxiety loses much of its power. Because anxiety cannot survive in the present moment. It needs the future to feed on. It needs the story of what if to maintain itself. As you lie here in this moment, breathing slowly and deeply, look directly at your experience right now. Not what might happen in an hour, or tomorrow, or next year. But right now, in this moment, are you safe? Is there any actual danger present? Not imagined danger, not potential danger, but real, immediate danger? For most of us, most of the time, the answer is no. In this actual moment, we are safe. We might be uncomfortable, we might be worried, we might be playing fearful movies in our mind, but we are not, in fact, in danger right now. This recognition is extraordinarily powerful. It's like waking up from a nightmare and realizing you're in your own bed, that the terror was only a dream. Your anxiety is often like that nightmare. It feels so real, so compelling, so immediate. But when you bring your attention fully to the present moment, you discover that the danger is mostly in your imagination. This doesn't make the fear less real as an experience, but it reveals that the cause of the fear is not external threat, but mental projection. There is a story from a Buddhist monastery about a young monk who was terrified of the dark. Every night when it was time to walk from the main hall back to his sleeping quarters, he would work himself into a state of panic. He was convinced that demons lurked in the shadows, that some terrible fate awaited him in the darkness. One night, his teacher walked with him carrying a lamp. "Tell me," the teacher said, "where are these demons you fear?" The monk looked around nervously. "I don't see them now, master, but I know they're there." The teacher stopped walking and held up the lamp. "Look carefully at each shadow as we pass. Look directly at what you fear." They walked slowly, examining each dark corner, each shadowy space. They found no demons, only shadows. "The demons," the teacher explained, "live in your mind, not in the darkness." When you bring the light of present awareness to your fear, you discover that most of what you're afraid of is not actually here. This is the practice of the third mantra. You are bringing the light of present awareness to your anxiety, examining directly what is actually true in this moment, rather than what your fearful imagination is projecting. This practice doesn't require you to deny real dangers or become reckless. It simply asks you to distinguish between actual present danger and imagined future danger, and it invites you to rest in the safety of the present moment. Feel how your body responds when you tell it the truth. I am safe in this present moment. Notice if your shoulders drop slightly. Observe if your jaw softens. Feel if your belly releases some of its holding. Your body knows the difference between actual danger and imagined danger. When you're in actual danger, your body activates the fight or flight response appropriately. This is a healthy, adaptive response that has kept humans alive for millennia. But when you're in imagined danger, your body still activates this response, creating all the physical sensations of threat, even though there is no actual threat present. This is the cruel trick of anxiety. It creates real physiological distress in response to imagined scenarios. The third mantra is medicine for this condition. It helps your nervous system recognize that right now, in this moment, there is no need for the alarm response. Right now, you can rest. Right now, you are safe. This message, repeated consistently, begins to retrain your nervous system. It's like teaching a guard dog that not every sound in the night is an intruder. Most sounds are just the wind, or a branch, or a small animal. The dog can relax its vigilance most of the time and reserve its protective response for actual threats. In mindfulness meditation, which comes directly from Buddhist practice, the fundamental instruction is to bring your attention to the present moment. The breath is often used as an anchor because it's always happening now. You can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. Breath only exists in the present. When you focus on your breath, you are automatically bringing yourself into the now. And in the now, anxiety begins to dissolve like morning mist in sunlight. As you continue breathing, make each breath an affirmation of the third mantra. As you inhale, silently say, I am safe. As you exhale, silently say, in this present moment. Let the rhythm of breath and mantra synchronize, creating a steady pulse of reassurance that penetrates deeper and deeper into your nervous system. This is not self-deception. This is truth speaking. You are, in fact, safe in this present moment. Your anxious mind might argue with this, might list all the things that could go wrong, but those are future possibilities, not present realities. And even if some of those things do happen in the future, you will meet them when they arrive, not before. Right now, in this moment, you are safe. There is a beautiful practice in Zen Buddhism called just this. When you're washing dishes, just wash dishes. When you're walking, just walk. When you're resting, just rest. The practice is to be fully present with what is actually happening, rather than being lost in thoughts about what happened or what might happen. This practice of just this is profoundly anxiety-reducing because it keeps you anchored in reality rather than adrift in imagination. The reality of the present moment is usually much less threatening than the imagination of possible futures. Think about your own experience of anxiety. How much of it is about what is actually happening right now and how much is about what might happen? If you're honest, you'll probably notice that most anxiety is future-oriented. You're worried about a meeting that hasn't happened yet, a test result you haven't received, a conversation that hasn't occurred, a disaster that hasn't struck. All of these worries share one characteristic. They're about something that isn't real right now. They're about a mental projection, a story, a possibility. And while it's sometimes useful to plan for possibilities, it's never useful to suffer over them as if they're already real. The third mantra teaches you to live in reality rather than in imagination, and the reality of the present moment is almost always more peaceful than the imagination of possible futures. This doesn't mean you become unrealistic or stop planning. It means you distinguish between useful planning and useless worry. Useful planning happens in the present moment. You think clearly about what actions you can take, and then you take them. Useless worry creates suffering about situations you can't currently affect. The third mantra helps you make this distinction and choose peace over unnecessary suffering. As you rest here, feeling the support beneath you, feeling the air on your skin, hearing whatever sounds are present, you are practicing the art of present moment awareness. This moment requires nothing from you except your presence. You don't have to solve anything right now. You don't have to fix anything right now. You don't have to figure anything out right now. You simply need to be here, breathing, resting, allowing the truth of your present safety to sink into your consciousness. In trauma therapy, one of the most important skills that's taught is called grounding. When someone is experiencing a flashback or severe anxiety, they're taught to ground themselves in present reality by engaging their senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel physically? What do you smell? What do you taste? These questions bring attention back to the present moment, away from the traumatic memory or anxious projection. The senses only work in the present. They can't see yesterday, they can't hear tomorrow, they can only perceive now. By engaging the senses, you automatically anchor yourself in present reality. This is exactly what the third mantra does. When you say, "I am safe in this present moment," you are engaging in a form of grounding. You are bringing your awareness away from the stories your mind is telling and into the direct experience of now. And in the direct experience of now, the body can begin to relax, the nervous system can downregulate, the stress hormones can begin to clear. You create the physiological conditions for peace. There's a profound paradox here that's worth noting. When you're trying to make yourself safe in the future through constant worry and vigilance, you actually create unsafety in the present through stress and anxiety. You sacrifice your present peace for an imaginary future safety that never arrives, because when that future becomes the present, your mind simply projects new worries into the next future. It's an endless cycle. But when you allow yourself to be safe in the present moment, when you rest in the safety of now, you actually create better conditions for a peaceful future. You make decisions from clarity rather than fear. You act from wisdom rather than panic. You treat yourself and others with more kindness, which naturally creates better outcomes. Feel now how the third mantra is working in your body. Perhaps areas that were tense are beginning to soften. Maybe your breath is becoming slower and more regular without any effort on your part. You might notice that your mind is becoming quieter, less full of worried chatter. These are all signs that your nervous system is receiving the message of present moment safety. Your body is wise. When it knows it's safe, it naturally shifts into rest and repair mode. This is not something you have to force. You simply have to get out of the way and let it happen by repeatedly bringing your attention back to the truth. I am safe in this present moment. In Buddhist psychology, there is a teaching about the near enemy of positive qualities. The near enemy of a quality is something that looks similar but is actually quite different. For example, The near enemy of compassion is pity. The near enemy of equanimity is indifference. The near enemy of present moment awareness is complacency. It's important to understand that when we say, "I am safe in this present moment," we're not being complacent or denying real problems. We're simply recognizing that right now, in this actual moment, we are okay. This recognition allows us to respond to life's challenges from a place of centered calm rather than reactive fear. Imagine your life as a path you're walking. Anxiety is like constantly looking far ahead on the path, seeing all the potential obstacles and dangers, and becoming overwhelmed by everything that might go wrong. You stumble over rocks at your feet because you're not watching where you're actually walking. You miss the beauty around you because your eyes are fixed on distant threats. The practice of present moment safety is like bringing your gaze back to your current step. You can see clearly where to place your foot. You can notice the flowers beside the path. You can adjust to the terrain you're actually on. When you reach a difficult section of the path, you'll deal with it then, with full attention. But for now, you simply take this step, in this moment, which is actually quite manageable. This practice accumulates over time. Each time you bring yourself back to present moment safety, you're training your nervous system to trust reality more than imagination. You're teaching your body that it doesn't have to remain in constant alert mode. You're showing your mind that peace is available right now, not in some distant future when all problems are solved and all threats are eliminated. This training is gradual but powerful, like water wearing away stone. Each repetition of the mantra, each moment of present awareness, gradually wears away the deeply grooved patterns of anxiety. Now we arrive at the fourth sacred mantra, one that connects directly to the very breath that sustains your life. My breath dissolves all tension. These words reveal a profound secret that yogis and Buddhist practitioners have known for thousands of years. Your breath is not just a biological function. It is a bridge between your conscious and unconscious mind, between your voluntary and involuntary nervous system, between your thoughts and your physical body. By working consciously with your breath, you can access and influence systems that normally operate outside your awareness. The breath is your most accessible tool for dissolving anxiety and tension. Think about how breathing changes with different emotional states. When you're anxious, your breath becomes shallow and quick, trapped high in your chest. When you're angry, it becomes sharp and forceful. When you're sad, it might be interrupted by sighs or catching in your throat. But when you're peaceful, your breath is slow, deep, rhythmic, flowing all the way down into your belly. The amazing discovery that meditators made centuries ago is that this relationship works in both directions. Not only does your emotional state affect your breath, but changing your breath pattern can change your emotional state. By consciously breathing the way you breathe when you're peaceful, you can actually induce peace, even when anxiety is present. The fourth mantra invites you to work with this powerful relationship. As you breathe slowly and deeply, imagine that each exhale is carrying away tension, stress, anxiety, worry, fear. It's like the breath is a gentle broom, sweeping through the rooms of your body and mind, gathering up everything that doesn't serve you and carrying it away. You don't have to force this process. You don't have to make it happen through effort. You simply set the intention and allow the natural wisdom of your breath to do its work. There is a story from an ancient Buddhist monastery about a master who was asked by a student, "What is the most important practice for achieving enlightenment?" The master took a deep breath in and then exhaled slowly and completely. Then he smiled and walked away without saying a word. The student was confused and sought out a senior monk to explain. The master was teaching you that the most important practice is right in front of you, happening every moment. Your breath is your constant companion, your reliable teacher, your doorway to presence. Everything you need is contained in conscious breathing. Feel now the quality of your breath. Don't change it yet. Simply observe it. Is it shallow or deep, fast or slow, smooth or jagged, held or flowing? There's no judgment here. Whatever you discover is perfect information. It's showing you the current state of your nervous system. If your breath is shallow and quick, it's revealing that your system is in some degree of activation, perhaps anxiety or stress. If your breath is already slow and deep, it's showing that you're beginning to relax. Either way is fine. You're simply gathering information. Now, very gently, without forcing anything, see if you can allow your exhale to become a little longer, a little slower. Don't worry about the inhale for now. Just focus on making the exhale smooth and complete, like slowly pouring honey from a jar. As you do this, silently speak the mantra, "My breath dissolves all tension." Feel the truth of these words. As you exhale, you are literally releasing carbon dioxide, which is a waste product, something your body needs to let go of. But you're also releasing much more than that. You're releasing the physiological effects of stress. You're releasing accumulated tension. You're releasing held emotions. Each exhale is a letting go. In yogic tradition, which shares much with Buddhist practice, the breath is called prana, or life force. It's not just air moving in and out of your lungs. It's the vital energy that animates your entire being. When prana flows freely, you experience health, vitality, and peace. When it becomes blocked or disrupted, you experience disease, fatigue, and anxiety. The practice of conscious breathing is a way of clearing the channels through which prana flows, removing obstructions and restoring natural harmony. Imagine your body as a network of rivers and streams, carrying the breath energy to every cell. Tension is like debris in these waterways, creating dams and blockages. As you breathe consciously, speaking the fourth mantra, you're sending a cleansing flood through these channels, washing away the debris, clearing the passages, allowing energy to flow freely once again. This isn't just metaphor. Your breath literally delivers oxygen to every cell and carries away carbon dioxide and other waste products. You're working with a real physical process while also affecting the subtle energy dimension. Notice now, as you continue breathing slowly and deeply, paying special attention to the exhale, how your body responds. You might feel a wave of relaxation moving through you with each breath out. You might notice muscles softening that you didn't even realize were tense. Your jaw might unclench, your shoulders might drop away from your ears, your belly might release its holding, your hands might unfold from subtle fists. All of this happens naturally when you breathe consciously with the intention of dissolving tension. There's a specific breathing pattern that's especially powerful for dissolving anxiety. It's sometimes called coherent breathing or resonant breathing. The pattern is simple. Breathe in for a count of 5 and breathe out for a count of 5 or 6. This creates about 5 to 6 breaths per minute, which research has shown activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for rest and relaxation. You can practice this now using the mantra to pace your breath. As you inhale for 5 counts, think, "My breath dissolves." As you exhale for 5 or 6 counts, think, "All tension." Let the mantra guide your breath into this healing rhythm. In Buddhist meditation halls, the sound of many people breathing together creates what's called the sound of silence. It's not actually silent, of course. It's the gentle, rhythmic sound of life itself, of breath moving in and out of bodies, of the tide of existence flowing. This sound is inherently peaceful. It reminds us that we're part of something larger, that we're breathing the same air, that we're connected in the most fundamental way through the atmosphere we share. Even though you're breathing alone right now, you're participating in the same vast breath that all beings share. Trees breathe out oxygen that you breathe in. You breathe out carbon dioxide that trees breathe in. It's a constant exchange, a perpetual gift, a demonstration of interdependence. When you realize this, the fourth mantra takes on even deeper meaning. "My breath dissolves all tension" is not just about your individual release. It's about participating in the great exchange of life, giving and receiving, taking in what nourishes and releasing what no longer serves. You're part of the breathing of the earth itself, the great planetary respiration. And in that participation, you find connection, meaning, and peace that dissolves the isolation that anxiety often creates. Feel how your breath connects you to your body in intimate ways. The breath touches your nostrils, flows down your throat, expands your lungs, moves your diaphragm, shifts your belly, affects your heart rate, oxygenates your blood. It's like an internal massage, touching you from the inside, reaching places that no external touch can reach. This internal touch is healing. It's a reminder that you have the power to care for yourself from within, that you don't have to wait for external circumstances to change before you can find relief. Right now, through conscious breathing, you can dissolve tension and create peace. There is a meditation practice called breath awareness, or anapanasati, in the Buddhist tradition. It's considered one of the most fundamental and powerful practices. The instruction is simple. Just watch your breath. Notice where you feel it most clearly. Maybe it's the cool sensation at your nostrils. Maybe it's the rising and falling of your chest or belly. Maybe it's the pause between breaths. Wherever you feel it, rest your attention there. When your mind wanders, which it will, gently bring it back to the breath. This practice, done consistently, leads to profound peace and insight. It dissolves anxiety by training the mind to stay with present reality rather than spinning off into worried thoughts. As you practice with the fourth mantra right now, you're engaging in this ancient practice. You're using the breath as your anchor to the present moment, and you're adding the power of intention through the mantra. Each time you breathe out and think dissolves all tension, you're directing your mind toward release, toward letting go, toward peace. The mind is very responsive to direction. When you tell it what to focus on, it naturally moves in that direction. You're training your mind to focus on dissolution of tension rather than accumulation of it. Notice the pause at the end of each exhale, that brief moment before the next inhale begins. This pause is significant. It's a moment of complete emptiness, complete letting go. In that pause, there is perfect stillness. There is no doing, no striving, no holding. If you can learn to rest in that pause, even for a moment, you touch the essence of peace. Some meditation traditions focus extensively on this pause, recognizing it as a doorway to deeper consciousness. You don't need to make the pause longer or force it in any way. Simply notice it, honor it, rest in it for just that brief instant. The inhale that follows the pause is equally significant. It's the universe filling you up again. It's life flowing into you without any effort on your part. You don't have to make the breath happen. Your body does it automatically, wisely, perfectly. The same intelligence that makes your heart beat and your cells divide also breathes you. When you realize this, you can relax even more deeply into trust. You're being breathed by life itself. You're being sustained by forces much larger than your individual will. This recognition dissolves the anxiety that comes from thinking you have to control everything, that everything depends on your effort alone. As you continue working with this fourth mantra, experiment with placing your hands on your body in ways that help you feel the breath more clearly. You might place one hand on your chest and one on your belly, feeling them rise and fall. You might place both hands on your belly, feeling it expand with each inhale like a balloon gently inflating. You might place your hands on your ribs, feeling them expand to the sides. This touch, your own hands on your own body, is grounding and reassuring. It's a form of self-soothing that works directly with your nervous system. You're essentially telling your body, I'm here with you. You're safe. You can relax. In some Buddhist traditions, there are visualization practices that accompany the breath. You might imagine breathing in light and breathing out darkness, or breathing in peace and breathing out tension, or breathing in love and breathing out fear. These visualizations give the conceptual mind something to do, which can be helpful if your mind tends to wander. As you breathe with the fourth mantra, you might visualize your breath as a healing golden light that enters your body, flows to every cell, dissolving shadows of tension wherever it goes, and then carrying those dissolved tensions away as grey smoke as you exhale. The specific visualization doesn't matter as much as the intention behind it. You're using imagery to support the process of release that the breath is naturally designed to facilitate. Feel how much softer your body is now compared to when you first lay down. The simple act of conscious breathing, guided by this mantra, has already begun to transform your state. This is not imagination. This is real physiological change. Your heart rate has likely slowed, your blood pressure has probably dropped. Stress hormones in your bloodstream have begun to decrease. Calming neurotransmitters have begun to increase. All of this happens naturally when you breathe slowly and deeply with relaxed awareness. You're giving your body permission and support to shift from stress mode to rest mode, from anxiety to peace, from tension to release. We now come to the fifth mantra, words that address one of the deepest sources of anxiety in human experience. I trust the unfolding of my life. This mantra asks something profound of you. It asks you to release the tight grip of control, to stop micromanaging every detail, to surrender the exhausting belief that you must orchestrate everything perfectly or disaster will strike. Anxiety thrives on the illusion of control. It tells you that if you just worry enough, plan enough, rehearse enough, you can prevent bad things from happening. But this is a cruel lie. The truth, which is both terrifying and liberating, is that much of life is beyond your control, and the path to peace lies not in achieving control, but in learning to trust the unfolding. The concept of unfolding is important. Life doesn't happen to you as a series of random, disconnected events. It unfolds, like a flower opening its petals, like a fern uncurling its frond, like a symphony progressing from from movement to movement. There's an intelligence and order to it, even when you can't see the pattern from your current perspective. This doesn't mean everything is predestined or that you have no agency. It means that your choices and actions are part of a much larger tapestry of causes and conditions, all weaving together in ways too complex for your mind to fully comprehend or control. In Buddhist philosophy, this is related to the concept of dependent arising that we touched on earlier. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything that happens is the result of countless factors coming together. Your anxiety wants to reduce this complexity to simple cause and effect. It wants to believe that if you do X, Y will definitely happen. But life is not that simple or predictable. Sometimes you do everything right and things still don't work out as planned. Sometimes you make mistakes and unexpected blessings emerge. The web of causation is too intricate for the anxious mind to map. There is a beautiful story from Zen tradition about a master who was tending his garden. A student approached and asked, "Master, how do you remain so peaceful when the world is full of chaos and uncertainty?" The master continued gently working the soil and said, "I plant the seeds. I water them. I give them sunlight. Then I trust the seed to become what it's meant to become. I don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. I don't worry that it might not sprout. I don't try to force the flower to bloom before its time. I trust the unfolding, and so the garden grows, and so I remain at peace." This story reveals the balance between effort and surrender that the fifth mantra teaches. You do what's yours to do. You plant the seeds through your choices and actions. You water them through your continued attention and care. You provide what support you can, but then you must trust the process. You must allow the unfolding to happen in its own time and way. So much anxiety comes from the inability to let go after we've done our part. We keep trying to control outcomes that are beyond our control. We keep worrying that our efforts won't be enough. We keep interfering with natural processes that need space and time to develop. As you breathe here in the darkness of night, feel what happens in your body when you speak these words. I trust the unfolding of my life. Does something relax or does something resist? Many people find that this mantra brings up fear. But if I stop trying to control everything, won't everything fall apart? If I stop worrying, won't I miss something important? If I trust the unfolding, aren't I being naive or passive? These fears are understandable. They come from the anxious part of you that has been working so hard to keep you safe through vigilance and control. This part needs compassion, not criticism. It needs to be gently shown that there's another way. The truth is that you've never actually been in control, even when it felt like you were. Think back over your life. How many of the most significant events did you plan? How many of the most important relationships did you orchestrate? How many of the crucial turning points did you see coming? Most likely, the pivotal moments of your life emerged from the unfolding itself, from the complex interaction of your choices with countless other factors. You've always been held by this larger process. The only question is whether you trust it or resist it. Trusting the unfolding doesn't mean you stop making efforts or become passive. It means you hold your plans and goals lightly. You do today what seems right to do today, and you trust that this is enough. You prepare for the future reasonably, but you don't torture yourself with endless what-if scenarios. You respond to situations as they actually arise, rather than exhausting yourself by trying to prepare for every possible contingency. You recognize that life has a way of working out, not always as you planned, but often better than you could have imagined. In the Taoist tradition, there's a concept called Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action or non-doing. This doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting in harmony with the natural flow of things, rather than constantly swimming against the current. It means knowing when to act and when to wait, when to push and when to yield, when to speak and when to remain silent. This wisdom can only arise when you trust the unfolding, because it requires you to sense into the present moment rather than following rigid plans made by the anxious mind. Feel now, as you continue to breathe slowly and deeply, the ways in which you're already trusting without even thinking about it. You're trusting that your heart will continue to beat. You're trusting that your lungs will continue to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. You're trusting that the ground will support you tomorrow when you stand. You're trusting that the sun will rise in the morning. You're already engaged in profound trust at the most basic level. The fifth mantra simply asks you to extend this trust to the larger circumstances of your life. Imagine that your life is like a river. When you were born, you were placed in this river. You have some ability to steer, to paddle, to choose which side of the current to ride. But you cannot control the speed of the river, its direction, where it meets other rivers, what obstacles appear around each bend. You can exhaust yourself trying to fight the current, trying to make the river go backwards or sideways, trying to force it to flow according to your preferences. Or you can learn to navigate skillfully while trusting the river to carry you where you need to go. The second approach is not only more peaceful, it's actually more effective. When you work with the current rather than against it, you move with greater ease and power. Your anxiety has probably convinced you that trusting the unfolding is dangerous, that constant vigilance is the only thing keeping disaster at bay. But consider the cost of this approach. The chronic stress affects your health, creating inflammation, suppressing your immune system, disrupting your sleep, affecting your digestion. It impacts your relationships, making you irritable, controlling, unable to be present. It limits your capacity for joy because you're always braced for the next problem rather than enjoying the current moment. The irony is that all this worry doesn't actually prevent bad things from happening. It just ensures that you suffer twice, once in fearful anticipation and once if the feared event actually occurs. Trusting the unfolding is not naive optimism. It's not pretending that difficulties don't exist or that everything always works out perfectly. It's acknowledging that difficult things do happen, and you have within you the capacity to meet them when they arrive. It's recognizing that you've already survived every difficult thing that has happened to you so far. You're here, breathing, alive. You've made it through 100% of your worst days. This track record suggests that you're more resilient than your anxiety gives you credit for. There is a practice in Buddhist psychology called reviewing merits, or reflecting on one's strengths and accomplishments. The anxious mind tends to fixate on failures and potential disasters, ignoring evidence of capability and resilience. Taking time to remember what you've already overcome, what you've already handled, what you've already survived, helps balance this distorted perspective. It reminds you that you can trust yourself to meet what comes. You've been tested before and you've come through. This history is evidence that you can trust the unfolding because you've been successfully navigating it all along. As you speak this fifth mantra silently to yourself, I trust the unfolding of my life. Imagine that you're speaking to every cell in your body, to every level of your consciousness. You're giving permission to your nervous system to stand down from high alert. You're telling your body that it doesn't need to remain in constant preparation for threat. You're reassuring the frightened parts of yourself that they're safe, that they're held, that they don't have to do this alone. This reassurance, repeated consistently, begins to reprogram the deep patterns that generate anxiety. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is a teaching about basic goodness, the fundamental wholesomeness and workability of reality. This teaching suggests that beneath the chaos and difficulty of surface appearances, there is an underlying sanity and benevolence to existence. This doesn't mean bad things don't happen. It means that even difficult experiences can contribute to growth, wisdom, and the development of compassion. From this perspective, trusting the unfolding means trusting that even challenges serve a purpose, that even painful experiences carry gifts, that the arc of your life is bending toward your highest development, even when you can't see it from your current vantage point. Feel how different your body feels when you rest in trust versus when you're gripped by anxiety. Trust creates openness, softness, flow. Anxiety creates contraction, hardness, blockage. These are not just mental states but physical ones. Your body literally shapes itself differently depending on whether you're in trust or fear. By consciously choosing trust through this mantra, you're reshaping your body, retraining your nervous system, rewiring your brain. This is not metaphor. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural pathways, means that repeated thoughts and attitudes actually change the structure of your brain. Each time you choose trust over anxiety, you're strengthening the neural pathways of peace and weakening the pathways of fear. The sixth mantra brings us to a truth so fundamental that all of Buddhist teaching points toward it. Stillness is my true nature. These words are not a description of what you should become or what you should achieve. They are a recognition of what you already are beneath all the activity, all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the identity stories. At the very core of your being, deeper than personality, deeper than history, deeper than any temporary state or experience, there is stillness. Not the stillness of emptiness or void, but the stillness of pure presence, pure awareness, pure being. This stillness has never been disturbed, even when your surface consciousness has been turbulent. It has always been here, waiting patiently for you to remember it. Anxiety feels like agitation, like restlessness, like a motor that won't turn off. It feels like the opposite of stillness. But the sixth mantra reveals that anxiety is only activity on the surface. It's like waves on the ocean. The waves can be high and turbulent, crashing and churning, but in the depths of the ocean, there is always stillness. You are not just the waves. You are the entire ocean, surface and depth. When you identify only with the waves, with the surface activity of your thoughts and emotions, you experience yourself as anxious. But when you remember your true nature as the vast ocean, you discover that you are fundamentally still, fundamentally peaceful, no matter what's happening on the surface. There is a teaching story from a Zen monastery about a student who complained to her master, "I cannot find stillness. My mind is always busy. My thoughts never stop. I've been meditating for months, and I still can't quiet my mind." The master took her to a window overlooking a busy road where carts and people passed constantly. "Look," he said. "Can you see the space between the people and carts?" She nodded. "That space is always still, always quiet, even though movement passes through it. The space is never disturbed by the movement. You are like that space. Thoughts and emotions move through you, but your fundamental nature, the awareness in which they appear, is always still. Stop trying to still the movement. Instead, recognize yourself as the stillness in which movement appears." This teaching is profound and potentially life-changing. You've probably been trying to get rid of anxiety, to stop anxious thoughts, to eliminate worried feelings, but this approach often backfires, creating more tension and frustration. The sixth mantra offers a different way. Instead of trying to change the surface activity, you recognize your deeper nature as inherently still. The anxiety can be present, moving through like clouds across the sky, but you know yourself as the sky itself, which is never disturbed by the weather passing through it. As you rest here in the darkness, breathing slowly and gently, see if you can sense the stillness beneath your breath. Your breath moves in and out, rising and falling, but there's a stillness in which this movement happens. Your heart beats, creating rhythm and sound, but there's a stillness in which the beating happens. Thoughts arise in your mind like fish jumping in a pond, but there's a stillness, like the deep pond itself, in which the fish move. Can you feel it? Can you sense that motionless presence that you are? This stillness is not something you create through effort. You cannot make yourself still through force of will. That would just be adding more movement, more trying, more doing. Instead, stillness is revealed when you stop adding, when you stop trying to fix or change or achieve, when you simply rest in awareness of what is. Stillness naturally reveals itself. It's like muddy water in a glass. You can't make the water clear by shaking the glass. But if you simply set the glass down and let it be, the mud naturally settles and the water becomes clear. Your mind is like this. When you stop stirring it with constant mental activity, it naturally settles into clarity and stillness. In Vipassana meditation, which comes from the Theravada Buddhist tradition, the instruction is often to simply note what's arising. Thinking, you might note when a thought appears. Feeling, when an emotion arises. Hearing, when a sound occurs. This practice trains you to become the observer of experience rather than being lost in experience. The observer, the noticer, the awareness itself is still. It doesn't move. It simply knows. When you rest as this witnessing awareness, you discover your true nature as stillness itself. Your anxiety is often amplified by identification with mental and emotional activity. You think, "I am anxious," which is a statement of identity. This creates the belief that anxiety is who you are, rather than something you're experiencing. But when you remember that stillness is your true nature, you can observe more accurately. Anxiety is present, or anxious thoughts are arising. This shift in language reflects a shift in identity. You move from being the anxiety to being the awareness in which anxiety appears. And the awareness, the stillness that you are, is never threatened or disturbed by what appears within it. Feel this now as you continue to rest. Notice that even as you read or hear these words, even as thoughts and perhaps anxious feelings are present, There is something in you that is simply aware of it all. This awareness is not involved in the drama. It's not caught up in the story. It simply witnesses with perfect stillness. This awareness, this witnessing presence, is your true nature. Everything else, all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the physical sensations, all the stories, these are temporary visitors passing through the vast, still space that you fundamentally are. In Dzogchen, an advanced teaching from Tibetan Buddhism, practitioners are introduced directly to the nature of mind, which is described as awareness itself, empty yet luminous, still yet cognizant. The practice is to rest in this natural state without trying to change or improve anything. This is considered the highest teaching because it points directly to what you already are, rather than asking you to become something different. The sixth mantra is an invitation to this recognition. Stillness is not a state you achieve. It is what you are when you stop pretending to be anything else. There is a beautiful paradox here. From stillness, appropriate action arises naturally. When you're gripped by anxiety, your actions often come from reactivity, from fear, from contraction. But when you're resting in your true nature as stillness, your actions arise from clarity, from wisdom, from love. You respond to situations rather than reacting to them. You act from center rather than from chaos. So recognizing your true nature as stillness doesn't make you passive or uninvolved in life. It actually makes you more effective, more present, more capable of appropriate response. Think of a mountain. On its peaks and slopes, weather is constantly changing. Wind blows, rain falls, snow accumulates, sun shines, storms rage. But deep inside the mountain, at its core, there is absolute stillness. The mountain is both the dynamic surface and the still core. You are like this. You have a dynamic surface. Your thoughts and emotions and physical sensations constantly changing, but you also have a still core, your fundamental awareness never changing. Problems arise when you identify only with the surface and forget the core. The sixth mantra helps you remember the core, return to the core, rest as the core. As you speak this mantra silently, stillness is my true nature. Let the words point you toward direct experience. Don't just think about stillness. Don't just believe in stillness conceptually. Actually feel for it, notice it, rest in it. It's here right now, closer than your breath, more intimate than your heartbeat. It's not far away or difficult to access. It's simply what's here when you stop looking for something else, when you stop trying to be anywhere other than where you are, when you stop trying to be anyone other than who you are. In some meditation traditions, there are practices of resting in don't know mind, or beginner's mind, or not knowing. These practices invite you to release your accumulated knowledge and concepts and simply be present without the filter of interpretation. This not knowing is actually a form of stillness. When you're not constantly labeling, judging, analyzing, comparing, your mind becomes still. It simply perceives, simply knows, simply is. This is very restful. The constant commentary that usually runs in your mind is exhausting, even though you're so used to it that you don't notice the energy it drains. When you rest in stillness, this commentary naturally quiets, and you discover how much energy it was consuming. Notice now how still your body is becoming as you continue to rest. Perhaps you're barely moving, maybe not at all. This physical stillness supports the recognition of inner stillness. Your body and mind are not separate, they influence each other constantly. As your body becomes still, your mind more easily settles. As your mind recognizes its true nature as stillness, your body more deeply relaxes. They work together in a beautiful feedback loop, each supporting the other's journey into peace. The sixth mantra is especially powerful at night in this transition towards sleep. Sleep itself is a return to stillness. In deep sleep, there are no thoughts, no worries, no sense of separate self. There is just deep stillness, deep rest, deep peace. By consciously recognizing that stillness is your true nature before you sleep, you're aligning yourself with the natural process that sleep represents. You're consciously entering what sleep will take you into unconsciously. This makes the transition smoother, gentler, more natural. You're not fighting to make something happen. You're recognizing what's already present and allowing it to naturally deepen. Feel how each recognition of stillness is like coming home. There's a sense of relief, of rightness, of, yes, this is what I've been looking for. This is because stillness is your true nature. Coming back to it is not foreign or artificial. It's the most natural thing in the world. It's like a wave settling back into the ocean, or a bird returning to its nest, or a river flowing into the sea. There's a sense of completion, of wholeness, of belonging. This feeling is the sign that you've touched something real, something true about yourself. We arrive now at the seventh mantra, words that address perhaps the most persistent cause of anxiety in modern life. I let go of what I cannot control. This mantra is an invitation to make one of the most important distinctions you can make, the distinction between what is within your power and what is not. So much suffering comes from trying to control things that are simply not controllable. You cannot control other people's thoughts, feelings, or choices. You cannot control many external circumstances. You cannot control the past or the future. You cannot even fully control your own thoughts and emotions. What you can control is your actions in the present moment, your responses to situations, the attitudes you choose to cultivate, and how you treat yourself and others. That's it. That's the small circle of actual control. Everything else is outside that circle. Anxiety is born when you try to extend control beyond this small circle. When you worry about what someone else thinks of you, you're trying to control something that isn't yours to control. When you ruminate about the past, wishing it had gone differently, you're trying to control something that's already happened and can't be changed. When you fear future events, trying to ensure they won't happen, you're trying to control something that hasn't happened yet and may never happen. All of this is exhausting and futile. It's like trying to stop the rain by worrying about it, or trying to make the sun rise by wishing hard enough. It doesn't work, and the effort of trying creates immense suffering. There is a famous prayer used in recovery programs around the world that embodies the wisdom of the seventh mantra. It asks for serenity to accept what cannot be changed, courage to change what can be changed, and wisdom to know the difference. This wisdom, knowing the difference between what you can and cannot control, is life-changing. It allows you to direct your energy appropriately. You stop wasting energy on futile attempts to control the uncontrollable. You instead focus your energy on the things that actually are within your power. This focused use of energy is much more effective and much less exhausting. As you breathe here in the quiet darkness, consider the things you've been trying to control. Perhaps you've been trying to control how someone else feels about you. Maybe you've been trying to control whether you get a particular outcome you desire. You might be trying to control whether you experience pain or disappointment. These are all natural human desires. We want to be liked, to succeed, to avoid suffering, but wanting these things is different from believing you can control them. When you believe you can control them, you create a setup for constant anxiety because you're taking responsibility for things that are not actually your responsibility. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents something you're trying to control that's actually outside your control. One stone is your adult child's life choices. Another is your aging parent's health. Another is your partner's emotional state. Another is whether you get the promotion at work. Another is whether your friend forgives you. You've been carrying this heavy pack for so long that you've forgotten it's possible to set it down. Your shoulders ache. Your back hurts. You're exhausted. But you keep carrying it because you believe you have to, because you believe these are your responsibilities. The seventh mantra is permission to set down this pack. One by one, you can remove the stones, examining each one and asking, is this actually within my control? If the answer is no, you set the stone down. You don't throw it away in anger or frustration. You simply set it down with recognition and compassion. You've been doing your best. You've been trying to take care of everything and everyone, but some things are simply not yours to carry. Setting them down is not irresponsibility, it's wisdom. It's recognizing the limits of your power so you can use your actual power more effectively. In Buddhist psychology, this practice is related to the concept of non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't grasp, you don't cling, you don't try to force reality to conform to your preferences. You care deeply, you love fully, you engage completely, but you hold it all lightly, recognizing that you cannot control outcomes. This light holding is the opposite of anxiety, which is characterized by tight gripping, by desperate clinging, by the belief that if you just try hard enough, you can make everything work out exactly as you want. There's a story from a Zen monastery about a master who was holding a beautiful teacup. A student asked, "Master, aren't you afraid you'll drop it and it will break?" The master replied, "I already consider it broken. Every cup will eventually break. Every beautiful thing will eventually pass away." By accepting this truth now, I can fully enjoy the cup's beauty without anxiety about its inevitable end. I hold it carefully, but I don't grip it with fear. When it breaks, as it surely will someday, I will sweep up the pieces with the same peacefulness with which I now drink from it. This teaching illustrates the freedom that comes from letting go of what you cannot control. You cannot control whether the cup breaks. You cannot control whether the things and people you love remain with you forever. You cannot control whether pain and loss come into your life. These things are part of the natural flow of existence. By accepting this, paradoxically, you become more able to fully enjoy what you have while you have it. You're not constantly braced for loss. You're present with what is for as long as it is. Feel now, as you continue breathing slowly and deeply, what happens when you speak this mantra. I let go of what I cannot control. Does your chest open slightly? Do your hands relax? Does your jaw unclench? These physical responses are your body's way of saying thank you for releasing unnecessary burdens. Your body has been holding the tension of trying to control the uncontrollable. When you give yourself permission to let go, your body can finally relax. The practice of letting go is not a one-time event, but an ongoing practice. You'll find that your mind keeps picking up the stones you've set down, keeps trying to resume control of what it cannot control. This is habit. This is the momentum of old patterns. When you notice this happening, you don't criticize yourself. You simply notice, I'm trying to control the uncontrollable again, and you gently set it down once more. Over time, with patient repetition, the habit weakens. You spend more time in the freedom of accepting what is, and less time in the prison of trying to control what isn't yours to control. In the Taoist tradition, there's a teaching about the difference between clever doing and wise not doing. Clever doing is the anxious mind's constant strategizing, planning, manipulating, trying to control every variable. Wise not doing is recognizing when action is called for and when acceptance is called for. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Is simply allowing, is letting events unfold without your interference. This doesn't mean you become passive about everything. It means you develop discernment about where your action is needed and effective, and where your attempts to control are futile and create suffering. Think about your own life experiences. Have you ever noticed that some of your biggest breakthroughs came after you stopped trying so hard? Maybe you found a solution after you gave up searching for it. Maybe a relationship improved after you stopped trying to change the other person. Maybe an opportunity appeared after you released your tight grip on how you thought things should go. This is the paradoxical power of letting go. By releasing control, you often create space for something better than you could have engineered to emerge. This doesn't mean you never plan or never take action. It means you hold your plans lightly. You take the actions that are yours to take, and then you release attachment to specific outcomes. You do your best and trust the rest. This is the balance between effort and surrender, between responsibility and release. You're responsible for your actions, your attitudes, your words, your efforts. You're not responsible for outcomes, which depend on countless factors beyond your individual control. As you work with this seventh mantra, you might notice resistance. Part of you might argue, but if I stop trying to control things, won't everything fall apart? Isn't my constant vigilance what's keeping disaster at bay? This is the voice of anxiety, trying to convince you that you're much more powerful than you actually are, that everything depends on your control. It's actually a strange mixture of grandiosity and terror. The truth is more humble and more freeing. You have some power, but you're also held by forces much larger than yourself. You contribute to outcomes, but you don't single-handedly determine them. Recognizing this truth allows you to take yourself less seriously, to hold your role more lightly, to be a participant in life rather than trying to be its director. In meditation practice, there's a technique called just noting, where you simply notice what's arising without trying to change it. Thinking, you might note when a thought appears. Planning, when your mind starts strategizing. Controlling, when you notice the impulse to manage something. This practice cultivates the witnessing awareness that can see what you're doing without being completely identified with it. When you can notice controlling as an impulse arising, you have a choice. You don't have to follow that impulse. You can let it go, speaking the seventh mantra as a reminder of your intention to release what you cannot control. Feel how much lighter you're becoming as you continue releasing. Each thing you let go of is weight you no longer have to carry. Each surrender of control over the uncontrollable is freedom regained. You're not losing anything real. You're releasing illusions of control you never actually had. And in that release, you discover discover your actual power, which lies in how you meet this moment, how you respond to what is, how you choose to be regardless of circumstances. This power is much more reliable than the illusion of control because it doesn't depend on external cooperation. It's yours, always available, always accessible. The eighth mantra brings us to one of the most healing recognitions possible, a truth that dissolves anxiety at its emotional core. Love surrounds and protects me. These words remind you of something the anxious mind has forgotten. You are not alone. You are not isolated. You are not unprotected in a hostile universe. Whether or not you feel it consciously, whether or not you can see it clearly, you are held by love. This love takes many forms. It's the love of family and friends, yes, but it's much larger than that. It's the love of life itself, which continues to sustain you breath by breath. It's the love of the natural world, which provides everything you need for existence. It's the love of consciousness itself, the benevolent awareness that is your deepest nature and the ground of all being. Anxiety often feels like being a small, vulnerable creature in a dangerous world, constantly under threat, having to protect yourself against endless dangers with only your limited resources. This is a terrifying way to experience existence, but it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding. You are not separate from the world around you, desperately trying to survive in hostile territory. You are an expression of the universe itself, held within its vast embrace, supported by forces and beings you cannot even fully perceive. When you remember this truth, when you feel this truth, anxiety loses its grip because the core belief that fuels it, that you're alone and unprotected, is revealed as false. There is a teaching story from the Buddhist tradition about a wave who was terrified of dying. The wave looked ahead and saw other waves crashing on the shore, disappearing. That's what's going to happen to me, the wave thought with terror. I'm going to crash and die and be no more. Another wave, flowing alongside, overheard these fearful thoughts and said gently, "You're suffering because you don't understand who you really are. You're not just a wave, you're water. The waveform is temporary, yes, but the water that you are is eternal. When you crash on the shore, you don't die. You return to the ocean that you've always been part of. You were never separate. You were never alone. You were never unprotected. You are the ocean itself, temporarily taking the form of a wave." This story reveals the ultimate truth that dissolves existential anxiety. You are not a separate, isolated self, precariously existing in an indifferent universe. You are an expression of the universe itself. The same force that spins galaxies also beats your heart. The same intelligence that orchestrates the complexity of ecosystems also coordinates the trillions of cells in your body. You are not separate from this vast intelligence. You are it, localized in this particular body, this particular life, this particular moment. When you speak the eighth mantra, "Love surrounds and protects me," you are remembering this truth. You are recognizing that the universe is not hostile, but fundamentally benevolent. This doesn't mean painful things don't happen. It means that even painful things are held within a larger context of love and meaning. Even difficulties serve purposes you may not immediately understand. Even losses lead to unexpected openings. The ultimate nature of reality, according to the deepest Buddhist insight, is compassion. The universe is not trying to harm you. It's trying to wake you up, to help you grow, to guide you toward greater wisdom and love. As you rest here in the darkness, breathing slowly and gently, let yourself feel the many ways love is already surrounding you. Feel the surface beneath you, supporting you completely. This support is a form of love. The earth holds you. Gravity embraces you. You don't have to do anything to deserve this support. It's freely given, constantly present. Feel the air around you, the atmosphere that provides exactly what you need to breathe. This too is love. The planet has created and maintains an atmosphere that allows you to live. Feel the temperature that's keeping you at a comfortable warmth, whether from shelter, clothing, or your body's own regulation. This is love. The protective care that ensures your survival. Expand your awareness to include the people who love you, whether they're physically present or not. Bring to mind someone who cares about you, someone who wishes you well. Feel their love as a presence, a warm light in your consciousness. Even if you're alone in a room right now, you're not alone in existence. There are beings who hold you in their hearts. Their love is real and present, even at a distance. And if your mind says, "But there's no one who loves me," which is the voice of deep pain and loneliness, remember that the universe itself loves you. Your existence is proof of this. You are here because existence wanted to express itself as you. This is the ultimate love story. In Buddhist practice, there is a meditation called metta, or loving kindness meditation. In this practice, you deliberately cultivate feelings of love and goodwill, starting with yourself, extending to loved ones, then to neutral people, then to difficult people, and finally to all beings everywhere. What practitioners discover through this practice is that love is not a limited resource that you receive only from certain sources. Love is actually the fundamental quality of consciousness itself. When you open to it, you find it everywhere, limitless and ever present. The 8th mantra invites you to open to this love right now. As you breathe in, imagine breathing in love. It might appear in your imagination as light or warmth or a feeling of being embraced. As you exhale, imagine releasing fear, releasing separation, releasing the belief that you're alone. With each breath, you're opening to the truth that love is your atmosphere, what you swim in, what surrounds and interpenetrates your being. You don't have to earn it or deserve it. It's simply here, like sunlight, freely given to all. Think about the word protection in this mantra. What does it mean to say love protects you? It doesn't mean nothing difficult will ever happen. Protection in the spiritual sense means something deeper. It means you are held in a context that gives meaning to your experiences. It means you're guided by a wisdom larger than your conscious understanding. It means that even when things seem to go wrong, there are purposes being served that you may not see until much later. It means you're safe at the deepest level, even when surface circumstances are challenging. There's a beautiful concept in some spiritual traditions called the guardian angel, or spiritual protector. While you don't need to believe in literal angels, the concept points to something real, the sense that you're watched over, guided, protected by benevolent forces. Many people have had experiences of being mysteriously protected from harm, of getting an intuitive warning just in time, of events working out in ways that seemed miraculous. These experiences point to the truth that you're held in a web of connection and care that operates beyond your conscious awareness. As you continue working with this 8th mantra, notice how it affects your emotional state. Anxiety is fundamentally rooted in fear, and fear is rooted in the belief that you're vulnerable and unprotected. When you remember and feel that love surrounds and protects you, the emotional fuel for anxiety diminishes. You might still face challenges, but you face them with a different quality of energy. Instead of facing them alone from a place of fear, you face them held by love from a place of supported courage. In parent-child relationships, we see a beautiful example of this protective love. A baby doesn't worry about survival because the baby is held in the love and care of parents. The baby trusts implicitly that needs will be met, that protection will be provided. This trust allows the baby to relax, to grow, to explore. In spiritual teaching, we're invited to recover something of this primal trust, recognizing that we're held by the universe the way a baby is held by loving parents. This doesn't mean we become helpless or irresponsible. It means we carry life's challenges with a sense of being supported rather than being completely on our own. Feel now, as deeply as you can, the truth of this mantra. Love surrounds you, closer than your skin, more intimate than your breath. It's in the air you breathe, the ground that holds you, the body that houses your consciousness, the awareness that illuminates your experience. Protection is present, not as a guarantee that nothing will hurt, but as a promise that you're held in something larger, that you're safe in the most essential way, that your being is precious and cared for. Let this recognition wash through you like warm water, dissolving the cold grip of fear, melting the frozen places where anxiety has hardened into habit. We come now to the final 2 mantras, which flow together as a completion of this sacred practice. First, the 9th mantra, which acknowledges the temporary nature of all experiences. This too shall pass. These 4 words contain profound wisdom that has comforted countless souls across millennia. When you're in the grip of anxiety, it feels permanent, endless, as if it will never stop. Your mind extrapolates from the present moment, imagining that this uncomfortable state will continue forever. But this is an illusion. Everything passes, everything changes, everything is temporary. This includes anxiety. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence is one of the 3 marks of existence, considered essential to understanding the nature of reality. Everything that arises also passes away. Every experience, pleasant or unpleasant, is temporary. The anxious mind resists this truth, trying to make permanent what is inherently impermanent. But this resistance creates suffering. When you align yourself with the truth of impermanence, when you remember that this too shall pass, you find profound relief. The intensity of current experience, no matter how overwhelming it feels, will not last forever. It cannot last forever. It will change, because change is the nature of all phenomena. There is a story of a king who asked his wise advisors to find him a ring that would make him happy when he was sad and sad when he was happy. After much searching, they brought him a simple ring inscribed with the words, "This too shall pass." The king understood. When he felt proud and powerful, the ring reminded him that power is temporary, cultivating humility. When he felt defeated and despairing, the ring reminded him that suffering is temporary, cultivating hope. This ring carried the wisdom of impermanence, the recognition that would keep him balanced through all of life's ups and downs. As you rest here, breathing slowly and gently, notice any anxiety or discomfort that's present. Instead of fighting it or being overwhelmed by it, simply remind yourself, "This too shall pass." You don't need to know exactly when it will pass or how. You simply need to remember that it will. Just as the storms that came before this one passed, just as every difficult moment in your life eventually gave way to something else, this too will change. Your willingness to remember this brings patience, which is the antidote to the urgent panic that anxiety creates. The teaching of impermanence is not meant to be depressing, though it's sometimes misunderstood that way. Yes, it means that beautiful moments will also pass, but this actually makes them more precious, not less. When you know that this sunset, this embrace, this experience is temporary and unique, you're more fully present to it. You don't take it for granted. You don't assume it will always be here. You fully receive it as the gift it is. And with difficult experiences, the knowledge that they're temporary gives you the strength to endure them without being crushed. You can hold pain when you know you don't have to hold it forever. Feel now how this recognition brings space around your experience. When anxiety feels permanent, it's suffocating, overwhelming, all-consuming. But when you remember that it's temporary, that it's already in the process of passing, you can breathe. There's space around it. It's still present, but it doesn't define your entire existence. It's weather passing through, not your permanent state. This spaciousness is healing in itself. It allows the natural processes of release and resolution to proceed without the added burden of believing this state is permanent. And now, as we complete this journey through the 10 mantras, we arrive at the final phrase, the one that encompasses all the others and returns you to the source of all peace. I am one with infinite peace. These words are not aspirational, they are declarative. They state a truth that has always been true, whether you've remembered it or not. At the deepest level of your being, beyond personality, beyond history, beyond even the sense of individual self, you are consciousness itself. And consciousness, in its essential nature, is peace. Not the peace of pleasant circumstances, but the peace that exists before circumstances, beneath circumstances, regardless of circumstances. This is infinite peace. Peace without opposite. Peace that cannot be disturbed, because it is the nature of what you are. All spiritual seeking, all meditation practice, all sacred teaching points toward this recognition. You are not separate from peace, needing to acquire it from somewhere outside yourself. You are peace itself, temporarily forgetting your true nature. These 10 mantras have been a process of remembering, a gradual unveiling, a gentle return to what has always been true. You released worry to the universe. You allowed peace to flow through you like water. You recognized your safety in the present moment. You used your breath to dissolve tension. You trusted the unfolding of your life. You remembered that stillness is your true nature. You let go of what you cannot control. You felt the love that surrounds and protects you. You remembered that all experiences are temporary. And now you recognize your essential identity as one with infinite peace. In the highest Buddhist teachings, particularly in traditions like Dzogchen and Mahamudra, students are introduced directly to the nature of mind, which is described as inseparable from the nature of reality itself. This nature is pure awareness, empty of inherent existence, yet luminous with knowing, naturally peaceful, yet dynamically responsive. This is what you are. This is what all beings are. When you recognize this, anxiety dissolves not because you've defeated it or escaped from it, but because you've recognized that the one who was anxious is not your ultimate identity. You are the vast awareness in which the character called Anxious Me appeared and performed for a while. But you are not that character. You are the stage, the space, the consciousness itself. As you breathe now, very slowly, very softly, let yourself sink into this recognition. I am one with infinite peace. Not, I hope to be peaceful someday. Not, I'm trying to become peaceful. But I am peace itself, right now, already, always. This is not arrogance. This is truth. Beneath every thought, beneath every sensation, beneath every emotion, beneath every story, there is pure awareness, and pure awareness is at peace. It has no problems. It has no anxiety. It simply is. Feel yourself as this awareness, vast and open like sky, deep and still like ocean depths, silent and spacious like the pause between sounds. Everything appears in you, but you are not limited by anything that appears. Thoughts arise and dissolve in you, but you are not your thoughts. Emotions flow through you, but you are not your emotions. Sensations occur in you, but you are not your sensations. You are the infinite space, the eternal presence, the consciousness that has been aware of every moment of your life, unchanged by any of it, at peace throughout all of it. This is not a state you need to achieve or maintain. This is what you are when you stop trying to be anything else, when you stop performing, stop defending, stop explaining, stop proving. What remains is simply awareness, simply presence, simply peace. This peace is infinite, not because it extends infinitely in space, but because it has no limits, no boundaries, no opposites. It doesn't come and go, it doesn't improve or decline. It simply is, eternally present, always available, your deepest nature and your true home. As you rest in this recognition, the 10 mantras have completed their work. They have guided you from the surface agitation of anxiety into the depths of your true nature as infinite peace. You can return to these mantras anytime you need them, any night before sleep, any moment during the day when anxiety arises. They will always work to dissolve anxiety because they speak the truth. They remind you of what you are beneath the temporary confusion of fearful thoughts and anxious feelings. Now, as you prepare to release into sleep, let all the mantras blend together into a single recognition. You are held by love in this present moment, breathing peace, trusting the unfolding, resting in your true nature as stillness, releasing control, remembering impermanence, and recognizing yourself as one with infinite peace. All of this is true right now. All of this is available right now. All of this is what you are right now. Let your body become completely heavy, completely relaxed, completely supported by what holds it. Let your breath become so slow, so soft that you barely notice it. Let your mind become spacious, open, free of effort. Let your awareness simply rest in itself, knowing itself as peace. And from this place of complete recognition, complete surrender, complete peace, allow sleep to come naturally like a gentle tide carrying you into deeper waters. You are safe, you are held, you are loved, you are peace itself. Rest now in this truth. Rest completely. Rest as what you are. Infinite peace, infinite love, infinite awareness, falling asleep to the limited dream and awakening to your unlimited nature. The 10 mantras have dissolved anxiety at its root by revealing what you truly are beneath the anxious identity. You are not your worry. You are not your fear. You are not your stress. You are the peaceful awareness in which all these temporary experiences appeared and will dissolve. Sleep now as this awareness. Rest now as this peace. And when you awaken, you will carry this recognition into your day, living more and more from the truth of who you are, rather than from the fiction of who you feared you were. The journey through anxiety to peace is complete. The dissolution is accomplished. You are home. You have always been home. Sleep peacefully, beloved being, one with infinite peace.